Where did you find the most joy in the project? Was it reference, creature, character?
Reference to me is, I always have to hype myself up for reference, but I actually kind of enjoyed the reference in here because I really like more serious acting. And this had a lot of nice little subtlety bits. And beyond that, like, I was just really excited to get back into animation. I felt like I hadn't animated characters in such a long time. And it's that almost fear you get where you're like, am I really rusty at this? But then you jump into here and you start having fun and realize how much you liked animation again. So mostly I think I just really enjoyed getting back into character animation and doing, you know, stuff rather than some of the more over-the-top characters that I've been doing lately.
I think for me it was the horse itself. I liked trying to get into the mind of a creature. Like I say, I haven't done a lot of creature work, so it was good getting to grips with it both mechanically and emotionally. You know, how does a horse feel in this particular situation? So that, more than anything else, I think brought me joy on the project. I enjoyed that a lot.
But I knew you were good with face, so I was leaving like most of the face.
I was mainly on character stuff. I think I've only really touched the horse at the end, which has been really fun. I don't do a whole lot of creatures, so I enjoy the challenge.
What was the most challenging part?
The cape.
Hated that cape.
The cape. Yeah, I think the most challenging part, it wasn't necessarily the cape, because it is the cape, but what was challenging was I would come in and do an animation with the cape one week, and then the rig would change the next week.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'd have to redo the animation, and then the rig would change. So it was the challenge of working with a rig while there were still being changes to a rig, which, I mean, that happens in production too. We're dealing with it on our project. But it is a challenge, and it is frustrating, and sometimes you need to take a break and not scream at your machine, but yeah.
Okay, cape was your nemesis. What was yours then?
The cape also, definitely. I mean, I didn't have a lot to do with the cape, but from what I did do, I had the same experience.
You left early enough.
Yeah.
Just in time too.
Lucky.
But also, the woman character, I struggled with her rig, to particularly around the chest and shoulders, to get nice shapes. Yeah. So I found it difficult with her, and also with trying to get the mechanics right of her on the back of the horse and getting all of that working. That was really difficult, but enjoyable. I enjoyed doing that. The thing I struggled with was sort of remembering to like keep her head steady and stuff, and have that sort of being the goal of the whole motion. That was really difficult, and it took a lot. It took you reminding me a lot of that to get it.
Well, that's an interesting thing because you can't necessarily go and shoot reference for that.
No,
so
no.
like the physics of it, you just
work
sort of
it
have
out.
to feel it out,
Yeah.
which is sometimes takes time and is a bit hard, especially like if you're not used to quadrupeds and people on quadrupeds and the connection between the two, and then you have to figure out the reins and.
Oh yeah, those reins.
Yeah. Just when you think you're over, then you have the reins, all the assets on the horse, the cape, or we still have the hair.
We still have the face.
The face, yeah. Don't get me. Oh yeah, you had I'm not sure if it's you with someone, somehow I have you in my mind, that said like you're first animating the head, and then the head is driving the cog and everything else. I think that's mine.
Yeah, I've learned that from a teacher when I was going to school, where he was like, I always start with the eye direction, and then I go with the head, and then I go down from the neck to the chest to the cog, because your eyes drive your head drives everything else. So that he doesn't start with the cog in a lot of scenarios. And that's kind of what I did on most of my shots here, is I started with the head and worked my way down. I don't have for everything, but it does work when it makes sense in my brain.
You also work with tons of layers.
Yeah, I did work with that. I like layers.
Jalil, are you listening?
I know, I'm sorry, Jalil.
But yeah, I don't remember your scenes. Were you looking
I
at
think I
layers?
used a combination of things.
Oh yeah, you used a lot of setup. I remember that.
Yeah,
Every time I open your scene, you have some weird setup with locators, like.
Well, I'd that set up with the aiming stuff going on, so that the head would naturally track. So whatever the horse was doing or whatever she was doing, everything would try and point towards this locator, which helped in some cases, hindered in other cases. So it's not like a one-size-fits-all solution, but it kind of helped. That I got from Isan here when I was on Titan with him. He showed me that technique, and I've used it on so many things since.
So what skills or personality traits do you think animators need to have if they want to develop their own, not short film, but in general, like shots for either for a demo reel or anything really?
Well, I think of anything of any length, I think you need to have a certain amount of tenacity, a certain amount of, I don't know, ability to just push through and actually make it happen, stamina, however you want to call it. I think that is it's difficult to start something and see it through. And the longer the thing is, whatever the thing is, the more that becomes important.
Yeah, I think the longer it is, it's harder, and I think that's where people come in to kind of support you. And I remember when you first started on the project, we also bonded a lot in our friendship. We used to talk a lot about religion and stuff like that. So it was a weird combo of like, does God exist? But also, Andy, can you fix this note on frame 21? That was fun. But that kind of faded off, and then you moved to US and abandoned me.
I did abandon you. Life got in the way.
Yeah. But luckily I had Anya. Anya to the rescue. Okay. I was really looking for your guys' input, even about the story, editing, like everything really. And you gave me a lot of good notes about the cuts and some of the beats, so that really influenced me a lot as well. And you were also giving me a bunch of CBB notes and the cape and the music.
I was a supervisor. Yeah.
But no, it was good that you included us on that, because you didn't have to, that was...
Yeah, but just because it wasn't a typical environment, it was more like something we are almost doing in our basement, and it felt more like a small, like a small group, like let's all work on it together. Kuma wants to contribute as well. About the technical stuff, so that was really tricky and challenging in the beginning. And I remember in the beginning I had this idea of doing it on twos, naively, like just put everything on twos, but no. It depends on the camera, the character speed and everything. And I remember you at some point basically invented a new hybrid system. So you didn't have every second frame. We had some shots where you had like 1, 2, pause, 1, 2, pause, 1, 2, pause. So that was super cool to see that contribution from your side as well.
Yeah, and it was interesting from my point of view, because again I had the same naivety about working on twos, and it's just been a learning process for us all, I think, from that regard. And that particular idea that I came up with, I haven't seen that anywhere before, but it wasn't something that I intentionally sat down and figured out. It was kind of stumbled across it kind of thing. But solutions come from where they come from, I guess.
Anya, you worked on twos shows before.
I worked on a show actually kind of right before I started, where or actually in tandem really, where one of the projects here we were doing twos, and it was fairly easy. It's fun to see your guys' perspectives, but for me it was fairly easy to transfer over because I was learning that pipeline at the same time that I was jumping onto your project, so it was very fresh in my brain.
I decided to go on twos because we just came out from the Sky Tribe project, And I learned a lot from Chad and Tommy. They had a bunch of tutorials on it, how to do it, how to deal with specific cameras, how to set it up technically and all that stuff. So I basically, hijacked their knowledge and use it for Horsey. But even though I had that previous knowledge, it's still
Another thing to actually do it.
yeah, it still required a lot of experimenting and trying things out, especially if you want some parts of the character to be on ones and others on twos, but not on all frames, but on some. So it was really tricky to do it. But you're also trying to, when I got into it, I got into very naively, without knowing into what it will develop. If I were to know all that I know right now, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, and I generally in life, I'm a big believer in ignorance. I think it pays to not know what you're doing.
Well, and it's funny because like I kind of have the same thing now that I know what goes into it. I did have ideas, dreams of grandeur, bunch of little things in my brain, and now working with you, I'm like, this is work. I mean, if you're very passionate about it, it'll pay off, and I'm sure it's very empowering. But maybe once I have a little break from Horsey, I'll start to get that passion back.
I do think it's inspiring to see you do it, because so many people say, I want to make a film, and they'll even get as far as pitching an idea, or they'll talk to some fellow animators and say, would you work on it? And, I've seen all of that, but it never goes anywhere. Yeah. So to see someone actually go through it and do it, that alone is impressive.
And as for passion, I think passion only gets you to a certain point. I was pretty passionate when layout stage was in the works, but after that, after I got the grants and I got Steamroller involved, I got already so deep that you can't go back now. You have to finish it and commit, and you can't go back. So no matter, the passion is gone now. Well, now it's only discipline. And what do you think, how will people react to the film?
I think they'll enjoy it. What I like about the film is that it's such a simple concept. There isn't a story there, so to speak. It's like you're taking one super simple element and just getting everything you can out of that, and I think that's a really fascinating thing to see happen. So I think that's what people will enjoy about it.
Actually, to that point, it's really funny because when I started on the project, I was messaging you and I'm like, yeah, I really like the motivation here and what this means and this, and you're like, like the simplest, that's not the simplism, like, but to your point, like people can make their own judgments on what it is because it is a simpler story, but there's enough interesting things happening that you can form your own thoughts and stories and ideas and opinions.
Exactly. And I like that while there's not a story, there's not a plot, so to speak. You're doing what good storytelling does, in that it raises questions that you allow.
Questions like, what the hell are you trying to say here?
No, I've watched shorts like that. This isn't one of the, what was that? This was, I wonder, why there's shackles there, and I wonder why there's a sword, and what is she escaping from, and what?
The point of the film is very clear.
Where's she going?
That is very clear.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Because I had people saying like, oh, it's not really clear, like you should maybe do this or that. So I had different.
I think it's
clear.
Yeah.
You just don't put the specifics in. You don't tell us every single thing, which is, what makes good movies sometimes. Yeah. It's like Jaws. The scarier part of Jaws is that you don't see the shark.
Yeah.
You can definitely listen to your audience to some extent.
Yeah.
But there's also another end of that where you listen to too much and then you lose the reason why you do it.
Especially artists, sometimes we get so attached to our passion projects and our personal stuff that like if there's criticism and it isn't received well, like it can mentally destroy you. So having that mindset of, I'm not like I'm I'm obviously proud of what we did, and I'm obviously excited to, you know, put this out there. But if people don't like it, that's not gonna destroy me. I'm just gonna learn from it and make something better.
And remember that it is your project, and you can show it to 100 people, and you'll get a ton of different opinions on what you should do.
Yeah.
And you can listen to them, or you can not listen to them, depending on what you think. But ultimately, it's your thing, and you can't design something by committee. You can't take everyone's opinion and make something that everyone will like. You'll just end up releasing something beige.
Like, is
Exactly.
there one single project out there where everyone agrees is perfect? No. Somebody's gonna hate it. Somebody's gonna love it.
One thing I liked about it, regardless of what it all means and everything, I liked that the film was this woman making this leap for whatever reason, but she's not doing it on her own. She's got to cajole this horse into doing it. I really like that aspect of it. It could be her coming up to a chasm and having to leap across just on her own, but the fact that there's this horse there that's both her salvation and essentially dependent on her, that partnership, I think, is what makes this for me. I like that aspect.
I remember you saying that. And I used to think, wow, I haven't even thought of that. Like, the horse is her friend. I remember you giving me the note when she gets off the horse, like she should strobe it a little bit. And I didn't have that before, and I added it because you said it. Because it's right, it is her companion. But I was like, yeah, no, I just thought like the horse is just a horse. But yeah, how did you saw it, Anya?
The horse and the...
Yeah, what was the meaning you saw in it,
Oh, the meaning.
if any?
I've been staring at it so long that I'm not sure what I think anymore. I think it's still kind of the same thing. It's very much, you know, I've left something behind. I did something maybe I'm not proud of. Now I need to look towards the future. Oh my gosh, the future looks scary.
The best thing that could happen is for people to either hate it or love it. The worst thing is just to be indifferent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I enjoyed a lot.
Absolutely,
Thanks.
thank you.
Yeah, and thank you a lot for everything you've done. Yeah, I'm not sure how I will ever be able to repay you. But if you ever decide to do your own,
We'll put Dragana to work. We'll make her our grant writer.
Yeah.
Andy and I are like, we don't want to deal with the finances. We'll get Dragana to do it.
but no, seriously, I'm deeply grateful, and I was so humbled by how much you wanted to help me, and I always try not to betray that trust, and hopefully someday I'll be able to pay it back. So yeah, thank you, and hope people will love your work because it's awesome.